Welcome back inside. After outdoor worship last week, we survived. We didn't melt. Though the reports are the communion wine and the juice was maybe near boiling, but we survived and we're inside this week. And welcome. In the past few weeks, we've been hearing in the Gospel of Mark, there's actually been a lot of outdoor ministry by Jesus, you might say. He's been out of his hometown and doing lots of ministry, calming the storm, healing various people, lots of excitement for him in different towns. But another part of Jesus' ministry is what we read today. He's at home or in other places and inside synagogues teaching. And today we notice something specific happened for him there. Jesus' teaching, which seems to have been welcomed before and accepted by hometown people and synagogue leaders, by the time of today's teaching and in this story, by the time this is happening, something has grown irritating or objectionable for the people. There's pushback against his teaching now. Even in our passage, it says, they're saying to each other, "This is Jesus, just a hometown boy, right? I thought I liked him before. And he's just one of us. Where does he get off saying all this? Where does he get all this authority?" See, in the context of Mark, I think if we look at the stories that have been unfolding, we might see where some of the pushback comes from. Jesus has been healing the people on his travels in that outdoor ministry, but it's been even more categorically outside or beyond, because he's been going outside the bounds of some of the traditional rules and restrictions of how to be or how to heal people. So for instance, in his miraculous healing and interaction with the woman who had suffered for 12 years, and he brings blessing and gives well-being. In her story, it says she had been unclean for all that time, and she was shunned in public life. In the same story, Jesus touches a dead body. You're not supposed to do that. Even if you're bringing healing and life, some of these folks are noticing the actions and they notice he's acting outside of our rules and our tradition. So what if the people at home have heard all this and now when he comes home to teach again, they're a little bit more like, who is this guy? For us, and on this side of the story, we can see what they're missing. And we are hearing this question again and again because when he calmed the storm, the disciples said, "Who is this?" And now we see people at home asking, "Who is this?" We know it's a fair question, but we can tell each group is asking it in a different way. And in this reading, when the people say, "Who is this?" they're not in awe of Jesus as much as they're growing skeptical and they're feeling constricted and they're needing a definition now. Who are you? Where do you fit in our scheme of things? It even says in the story, Jesus is surprised at their unbelief. Are you surprised to hear that? It's kind of a surprising moment. Jesus is like, "Whoa, okay, people. I thought we understood each other here. I thought you saw the work I was doing." He's come from miraculous stories of even faith and blessings. The woman who got healed just by touching him. So much faith for someone with no status and struggling for years. And she receives wholeness and blessing. And when Jesus gets home, they aren't receiving it. They actually feel more distanced from this healer. Imagine, as close as the woman gets to him last week, he's at home, and I sense this growing distance between people. And perhaps it's because they see Jesus as unconventional. He's disobeying the rules as he's giving all this wholeness, and they're focused on that, and it says it's offensive. Who are you? Where do you fit? Well, today I read the preamble to the Declaration of Independence, And I think it points out a similar kind of question that was asked. Folks in the 1770s were designing and living a free new way together in the Americas. And a question was asked of those folks, who are you? Where do you fit? Because it took many years to lead up to July 4th, 1776. Even 8 or 9 months before that, in October of 1775, King George III of England was speaking to the British Parliament about all the stuff going on across the Atlantic and the instigation of people in the Americas. And who are these folks across the ocean? King George said, quote, "Many of these unhappy people may still retain their loyalty and may be too wise not to see the fatal consequence of this usurpation and wish to resist it." I think he'd been saying that for years and years, and this is 9 months before July 4th. And I'll stop right here and say, I'm not equating us to Jesus. There's way too many complications there. But I'm wondering if you can see the connection today in history, in the Declaration, because it was stirring up for the people in power, King George III, this question of, well, who are they? Are they being faithful to the rules we've set? Are they in right relationship to us? Who do they think they are across the Atlantic Ocean? So in Jesus' time, the hometown folks and leaders are asking this of Jesus now. Okay, where does he get this authority? What gives him the right to be like this? Questions of fidelity and power. And Jesus in our story does two things. First, he connects this action to their prophets and leaders from their tradition. He says, isn't this how prophets, those who you revere, those who have spoken for change and new life and the movement of God, isn't this how they've been treated before? Almost like you all, unconventional in many ways and in many times, is the way to freedom. And you know this. You've known this word before from the prophets. Hear that word again today. Let's hear it together. And the second thing Jesus does is then to help this word and this message spread through the world, this word of mercy, because he turns and commissions the disciples. I'm calling you. I'm sending you. I'm blessing you in healing and wholeness to go and change minds. Disciples, it's all our work now. Let's go and do it. And don't worry about what you should take. Let's just go and do it. God will be faithful to you along the way. Go in simplicity. So as I thought about Jesus sending them out simply, and in that book, We the Kids, they're on a camping trip. Last week, I did a night of camping with my daughters. We went to go look at a puppy, okay? A litter of pups, and we're in line to select a new member, a four-legged member of our family will come and be with us. And so this was a fun adventure. And we were going to go camping, and there would be swimming involved. And so as the dad, I just have my list, and I'm not good at lists. So I had my list in my head of sunblock and swimsuits and a tent and bug spray and a light at night, and I forgot many things. One thing I forgot to find was the iPad for the drive. It was going to be a 4-hour drive, and these days kids are looking forward to 4-hour drive means we get to watch or play something, right, Dad? And I said, not only is it not charged or anything like that, I can't even find it. So we set out on this camping trip, and I felt like Jesus. You shall go. You shall have no iPad. You shall live simply and be focused on the essentials. And so what we did instead, and I thought about this many times on the drive, is we were talking about the dogs. We'd seen pictures of them, and we were going to pick one out. And so the debate was on, which one will join our family? And there was a lot to talk about. And I've got 2 daughters, and they were each on different sides of the aisle on this one. So this was hard. It ended up being good that we had all this time to debate and give our reasons and have a conversation. And what's amazing is we had to decide together. We had to find a way forward together. In a way, we had to become we the family in order to bring in a more perfect pet. We must decide together how to be flexible and hopeful. And because they're not here today, I can tell you I'm really proud of my daughters because it was hard and we settled on something. We didn't even have to flip a coin. We didn't do eeny, meeny, miny, mo. We decided. We had conversations and true ones. And it was the kind of moment that I'm like, our family is better for having that hard moment of my daughters wanting different dogs to join us. And yes, we'll get a dog and that'll be beautiful, but there's been something beautiful about the journey to that point. That's the dad's perspective. So what about a perspective for us? I think we read today's passage. It has these 2 sections. Jesus offending the folks at home, unconventional. And then Jesus turning to the disciples and saying, let's not worry about that. We've got work to do. Let's go. What's our perspective as disciples? A lot has changed in our country since the 1770s, and even more has changed in the world since Jesus' time, thousands of years ago. And there's even change in our congregation as Faith Lutheran Church. We remember today, Madge. We celebrate people who have been part of this movement of disciples here for so long and continuing on through COVID, through the calling of another pastor, surviving together, and through new and different things. And we, the people of Faith Lutheran Church, are still finding a way forward together from 0 to beyond 100, from half a mile away to 100 miles away or more if you're on Zoom. I don't quite know where you are today, but all of us gather together. We hear God's call to repentance and to bearing the fruit of the Spirit in our time and place. And we say as our mission, come to worship, go to serve, embrace the community. And it's all of us. We, these people, and our various shapes and gifts, no distinction of age or ability or otherwise, but maybe just taking what the needy woman had last week. She had wholeheartedness. Each one of us is important in this faith community, and we're called and blessed to be a blessing. We're fed at communion by each other so that we can be nourished and go and nourish the world. And it's important for all of us. So hear this point today. If there's a need that you have, if there is something you hunger for in your life with God, or your life in community, or your life of grace, if that need is not met, then share it with us. Tell us your truth so that we can grow and cultivate healing together. Because we want to be made whole so that we are sent out like Jesus does today. He says, I want you to go together 2 by 2 in my mission. Come to worship, go to serve, embrace the community. Today, God in Jesus embraces you and in healing gives you abundant life. And in all that surprising manna and mercy, we are blessed and sent. Amen.